Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to establish a baseline license position in Snow Atlas. This baseline acts as the foundation for tracking software usage and compliance, helping you ensure that your organization is properly licensed. In order to set up a baseline license position, you need some prerequisites. Number one being is that you need admin rights to create and manage license entries. You may also need purchase records or agreements. And most importantly, your application recognition data must be available. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to establish a baseline license position in Snow Atlas using Microsoft SQL Server 2022 as our example. Right now, we have two machines which have this installed, but we haven't entered any licenses for it yet. So first we will go and locate the application itself, and I'll show you the current compliance. So if we head over to the toolbar on the left and then scroll down to SAMCO, I will head over to the applications and click. And here in the list, I will search for Microsoft SQL Server 2022. So here in the list, we have Microsoft SQL Server 2022. It shows us two installations. I will click on the application itself. So as you can see, currently there is a license requirement of 4, and currently we have 0 licenses, and hence why there is a negative compliance of 4. So we are non-compliant, and hence why there's 0 coverage. In the very same screen, you can look at other information such as purchases, transfers, or tracking. If we click on the tracking, you can see there's 2 computers that are eligible for this application, which have this application installed or are eligible for this application, and each require 2 licenses each. If you click on the compliance tab, this will give you a greater summary of the compliance. Here we can see the same information. There's an initial requirement of 4 cores to be licensed, but there are 0 licenses. However, the requirement is of 4 license, and hence why we are. For the next step, now we will add the license for Microsoft SQL Server 2022. In order to do this, we need to go to the licenses section. So we will head over to the licenses menu in the menu bar and expand. In the list below, we will choose license list and click. So what we will do is we'll add a new license, and we can add by clicking on the add license link on the top right here, and a new window will appear for adding licenses. We'll head over to the date of purchase. Select the date of purchase. In my example, I will choose, I will leave it as the 16th of June. So, but you can select whatever applies to your actual license purchase date. Next up is the legal organization tab. In the legal organization tab, there's a selection. If you click on the drop-down list below, you will be faced with the sub-organizations of your organization hierarchy. So each customer would have their own organization hierarchy, and they would be specific to yourselves. And the default that's selected would always be the root, and I will leave that as it is. The next field is the invoice reference. This is an optional field which you can enter an invoice reference for your own tracking purposes. In my case, I'll leave it blank. Further down is the application search section. Here, click on the magnifying glass, which says select application, click, and you will see 2 options for you to search the application. You can either do a application search by keywords, or you can click on the SKU button and enter the actual SKU which you might have on your purchase agreement of the license. In my situation, I will do a general search of the application. Note that we can search applications that already have recognition and defined by our data intelligence team. If you are applying a license for an application that doesn't have recognition, you can always make the request by contacting support. So let's search the application. I'll just type in SQL Server 2022 and click search. A list will appear, and from the list we can search the relevant application we wish to choose to create a license for. I will select the Microsoft SQL Server 2022 and click on OK. Now you can see that the metric has been reflected below, and you can make a selection of what metric you want to choose. The metric, if you click on the drop down list, the metric list is those metrics that we have mapped for the application license. In this example, the ones that are returning are installations, number of processor cores, number of processors, and cal. We will stick with the number of processor cores since that is the metric that the application is already has, and we want to be applying the licenses to the cores. It's very important to know that the license metric of the application and the license should always match. Otherwise, compliance can result in discrepancies. So I will select the number of processor cores as the metric, and I will define the quantity by clicking in the quantity field. In my example, I will type 8 because that's what I need, and that's what I've purchased in this dummy scenario. Further going down, you can see there is other options such as enabling downgrade rights. Downgrade rights would be useful if your license covers applications of lesser version of a previous version, and you want to use the same license to cover them. So you will click on downgrade rights for that purpose. In our example, we'll leave it as it is since I don't have a version lower than SQL Server 2022. The upgrade license, similarly, if you would like to use the same license and give it upgrade rights, so it can cover any application that has a higher version. Further going to the right, you have cross edition rights. Similarly, as the name suggests, you can use it to cover applications that are covered by the license but the applications have a difference in edition. And going lower, there's cross-platform. This relates to the difference in operating systems. It all depends on what your license logic allows you to do so, and the options are available here. So now that we've set the purchase information, we will head over to the maintenance and support tab. If you go above, you can see the tab here and click. Here you can add the maintenance and support costs for the license. So if you just click on the add button, you can choose a period from. I will select the same date as the purchase, which was the 16th of June. And I will, in this dummy example, I will round it off to a year. Here you can enter the invoice reference. I will just make one up for this demo. You can add notes if you need, and you can specify if this maintenance and support agreement has upgrade rights or not. In my case, I will choose yes. And then you can specify the support cost. I will just enter a random value, and you can further put in the maintenance cost. Note that this is an optional step. You would fill this in if this applies to you, but it's not mandatory for the license to have. Next up, we will go to the assignment tab, and here we will be able to assign our licenses to the two machines that has SQL Server 2022. In the assignment tab, this is where you can search and add the machines that have the Microsoft SQL Server 2022 applications or machines that have an eligible Microsoft SQL Server version that Microsoft SQL Server 2022 covers with its license. In order to search and add these machines, head over to the left side and you will see a add button. Click on the add button here. And now you can start searching those machines by clicking on the search button on your right. Now that the machines have been retrieved, we can now select the machines from the selection that we would like to apply the license to. In this case, I would like to apply it to both machines. So I will click on the checkbox on the top left corner. This will make a selection for all of the machines in the list, but you can always click manually by clicking and choosing the ones that you want or do not. So now that the selection has been made, we will go down and click on the add button to add these machines into the list. So click on the add. Now let's apply the correct number of licenses based on Microsoft's licensing model for SQL Server 2022. According to Microsoft, each physical or virtual machine running SQL Server Standard or Enterprise must be licensed for a minimum of 4 cores, regardless of whether the actual number of cores is lower. In our case, each of the 2 virtual machines have 1 processor and 2 cores, which you can see here. Even though each only has 2 cores, we're required to license a minimum of 4 cores per VMs. So we will apply 4 for the first machine in the list by clicking on the assigned field. And if you go lower, you click on the assigned field and assign further 4 licenses so that we can cover the cores. Note that Atlas has inbuilt logic for Microsoft SQL Server. Similarly, it does for Windows Server as well and other various vendors and their applications. This section has been filled in. Theoretically, we can now cover the application Microsoft SQL Server 2022. So if you just click on the Save button on the top, a window will appear. Here you can type in your name. This is just asking us the details of who has created this license. And this is for your own general information to track activity in your environment. So I've just put in my name and now I'll just click on OK. Now, since the license has been created and applied to the application in question, we will now need to run the compliance manually so that the compliance figures can be updated and you can view them as a analyst. So if you head over to the right corner where it says compliance, click on the drop down menu and click on recalculate compliance. Now you can see the compliance has started. Once the compliance completes, you will get a completion notification. Now let's head over to the application and view the compliance summary. So we will go back to the applications list by clicking on applications, and we'll choose the Microsoft SQL Server 2022. And here you can already see that the top banner is already looking compliant. So we had 4 cores, 4 licenses now registered and a requirement of 4 with a coverage of 4, and we have a compliance status of 0, which means you're neither in a negative, being under compliant, and you're not over compliant also. You can also go into the compliance tab if you click at the bottom, and you can see further information, which is in more detail in regards to the compliance of this license. So there you have it. In this tutorial, you witnessed how to achieve a baseline position for an application that requires a license. And we use Microsoft SQL Server 2022 as an example. And you've also seen how to apply the licenses and how to meet the requirements of a license. I hope this video proved useful to you. Thank you for watching.